Hello again, friends, and you are my friends, and welcome to your Talking Town show. I'm, of course, your host, The Gov. Thank you for joining me with a live or on catch-up, and Stephen Peck has started as fast as Town did yesterday in their 3-0 victory over Blackburn with a £2 super sticker. Stephen, we appreciate you. Thank you ever so much for your generosity, and what a fast start it was yesterday for our beloved Super Blues. A goal up inside 3 minutes, and then it was, of course, a case of, well, determination and overall quality winning the day, although perhaps the game did lack quality in other moments and areas, and we're going to get all into that as we go through the course of the next well, I won't put a time limit on it because when I do, it always overruns anyway. So hit the like button, subscribe for your town news, views, fan opinion and more. And of course, we are partnered with Match Bingo and Stomach Osteopath, but more on those a little bit later. Mike Baker says football is a results business. From that point of view, we achieved our goal. But we cannot keep missing gilt-edged chances against better opponents that don't give up many chances. It's going to cost us. George met you yesterday, apparently. Matt, he says, I actually got to meet. I'll say your name, Matt, last night after the game. I said hello.
Yeah, someone did come up to me and said hello. I didn't know who it was.
Well, there you go. Now you do. Yeah. It's George. George, I'm glad you said hello to Matt. There we go. All right, let's kick things off as we always do. Let's get it all rolling like Town did yesterday after 3 minutes with our very quick, short, snappy Town in 60 seconds. It's your 60 seconds to deliver your truth, praise, rants, questions, whatever it might be. What's wrong, Lee?
Nothing.
You were frowning. You were frowning.
No, I'm squinting, hang up my glasses on. I was looking at the live 2 minutes. I thought my 60 seconds had started. Sorry, that's just me. It's just glasses. There's no frown. It's just
panic.
Old age. Old age.
We had to look at someone who'd just been docked points or something.
Yeah. I was like, what's happened? Why is he? What's going on? That, or I put the wrong graphic up. I was thinking, what graphic had I stuck up? All right, so Town in 60. Lots of you in our chat. Let us know what you thought, what you felt afterwards. We've got our voice messages coming up as well. 3 lovely people have given us a voice message. We appreciate those. It's very easy to do. But Matt, we'll kick things off with you. 60 seconds are on the clock. Yeah. Just give us a little bit of a starter for 60.
Yeah, I mean, it was, Richard Chandler described it in the post-match yesterday as heavy weather. I would totally agree with him. It was a bit of a heavy weather 3-0. Lots of wasted opportunities, which we say a lot, don't we, about when we play at Portman Road. But a vital 3 points because we'd seen Coventry had come from behind against Leicester to win 2-1. You saw Middlesbrough nearly blow 2-goal lead against West Bromwich Albion and won 3-2. So it's imperative we keep hot on their heels with the game in hand to get 3 points. And we did it, and we got off to the perfect start. Had to chuckle. Martin's favourite defender of all time, if you're a long-term viewer of the show, Cash in, when he was, who was he playing for? You really liked him.
Derby.
Yeah.
Derby County.
His league debut. He played in the cup for him, didn't he, for Blackburn? But league debut, stuck it in the net. Great finish. So that made me chuckle. And in another first, what did we see? Smodix finally scores in a blue shirt at Portman Road, which is great because the number 10 position has been troublesome for us this season in terms of goal scoring. Nunes certainly hasn't been troublesome in that role, but he's a sticking blaster. So maybe that will give us the impetus for Smodix to move forward and score more.
Yeah, absolutely. Yes, so I did have a wry smile when it was announced that, or when I realised it was Cashin that had scored the own goal. He recovered from that, to be fair. He's still a very good defender. I still rate him very highly. I think we have perhaps moved on as a football club since those days, though. That was back when we were having League One away days as opposed to
paints.
Yeah, absolutely. Lee, you've heard Matt's opening 60. What about yourself?
Well, I thought, it was a comfortable 3-0, although going back to the point that Matt and Rob referred to about making hard work of it, I think what we mean by that is that the third goal should have come a bit sooner. We had a couple of chances, certainly before the hour mark, and I think had we seen that, then the substitutions would have been rotated a little bit quicker. But I think for me, we got the break with the first goal, set piece for the second goal, but we really did dominate the game. We did dominate the game, and the space opened up, and it's a typical Ipswich performance when we do well. It's tight first half. We have a few hairy moments with the ball around the back and everybody's on the edge of their seat. But second half, the ball was going in to Matasiwa and Taylor. They weren't even being picked up. And that's what you have to remember when we're going forward with the game. But I'd also just, the other last point, another 5 seconds, is George Hurst. I thought he really occupied the two centre backs yesterday, and it was a real fill-up for us and a platform for us to go on and win the game. You mentioned Cassian. I'm not sure if he was a centre back, right back, but if I was a Blackburn supporter, I would be seething the way their two centre backs played. I thought they were as poor a pairing I've seen at Portman Road.
Okay, no, fair enough. I think they played a little bit of a back three, particularly in the first half. But I get your feeling, and yeah, we're going to dig into George Hurst's performance. Was he back from that injury? Shinos, another player back from injury. Shinos says, great to see Burns back fit. Finally, a right winger with a right foot who will hug the touchline and take on a fullback. Maybe I'm old school. Stephen was on 606 last night. Good work, Stephen. I've not listened to it. I've not heard it. I'll have to go and see if I can check it out. And if you fancy doing a voice message, speakpipe.com/talkingtown. To really hit the Premier League of voice messaging and leave on your opinion, that's the place to be. But 606 is a great start. It's a great start. It's not a bad national platform. Matt, let's take a step back from the football for a second before we get into our flashpoints and go through the goals. I've got a little bit of a snippet from my Lambert's Tactics truck for the set piece goal, because I'm going to release that after this show for our members. And if you remember here, we appreciate you every single day. So thank you all ever so much. You can remember by hitting the join button on YouTube, by the way, if you want to support the platform and help us to grow. It is powered by fans Talking Town. But Matt, away from the football for a second, the mural on the side of the Sir Bobby Robson statue has of course changed. You looked at it yesterday. Lee, it's your stand as well. But how did you think? What's your thoughts on that mural on that stadium?
Loved it. Yeah, loved it. I mean, me and Colin went for a drink after the game, as he says in the comments there. I think it looks brilliant. I mean, I loved it when it first went up there. That whole Robson vibe for the North Stand, and having that picture on there. I just think it's brilliant. It's another thing that it's a must see when you go to Portman Road, as with the two statues. So great, but yeah, it was looking a bit tired, a bit weather worn. Was kind of fading into the background of the stand a little bit, wasn't it? So big shout out to Mark Ashton and co who've put that together. It must cost a pretty penny, I would say, to be able to do something of that ilk and put it on the side of the stadium. I mean, me and Colin were remarking as we walked past it on the way back up to the station yesterday was how long would it be there if they redo the Cobbold and it goes over Portman Road? But brilliant at the moment, and it's not something you'd see at Carrow Road, is it, Lee? Holding up a trophy of a European trophy. They participated in that competition, but couldn't quite win it, sadly, for them. Yeah,
a really, really interesting sort of on the stadium is that when you're on social media and you watch some of the retro ITFC retro, and you watch some of the old games, and you see even like in the pre-Marcus Evans, let's forget that, but Marcus Evans era, how shabby the ground looked.
Yeah.
And it doesn't give you 3 points on a Saturday, but when you walk down, so like the North Stand, when you walk across the car park, or you come down, towards the ground, and you see that greet you, and it does stand out. It says we are Ipswich Town, and what I would like to see, moving forward, is when the ground is redeveloped and the away fans are coming from the station, you want to see that stuff, don't you? You want to be able for them to come down and see, there's Alf Ramsey there, there's Sir Bobby, whatever it is, just to say we are Ipswich Town, and I think that's a step towards that, and it really makes you feel belonging to the club, and that that's really heartwarming, and you think we are Ipswich Town. So yeah, all credit to it. All credit to it.
They've done that to some degree, haven't they, with knocking down the Staples site and how they've redeveloped behind the Churchman's, as I still call it. I think that looks brilliant. The font that you can see from the train station, Ipswich Town Football Club, lit up night time. So tremendous. And they did say that, didn't they, when O'Leary and Ashton went first round the ground, they were going, this looks terrible. I mean, we were just used to it, weren't we? But now it's chalk and cheese, isn't it? Absolutely.
Yeah.
So I get the train into Ipswich. Sorry, man.
That's all right.
I get the train into Norwich, and from Lowestoft, and anyone that does that journey, as you get to the station, you see that pile of crap over on the left-hand side, and it looks really run down now. and it's roles reversed. It really is roles reversed, and it just looks an outdated stadium. And you think, whoa, these guys don't mean business. And when you, as you say, Matt, when you look at it from the station, when I go into Ipswich station, you can see Portman Road from the station, and you can see how much love there is for the stadium now. It really does make a difference, I think.
Yeah, and just to add on to what you were saying in the first part in regards to when you first spot it, I came to the ground via sort of Henley yesterday, so down by the Greyhound, you turn right and then you turn left down the hill behind Radio Suffolk, and the first thing I saw when I turned left to come down that road that's just behind Radio Suffolk was the new mural standing out, and you could really spot it, and it was something that sort of gave you just a slice of the Ipswich Town history, the prestige, and sort of it stood out, and I thought it was excellent just from that distance. And then when I got down there and saw it in person again, I shared the same feeling. But Craig, who I sadly didn't see Craig yesterday, normally see him after a game, sadly didn't see Craig yesterday, but it says Craig, mural appears to have a bubble in it, sleeve of his jumper. I didn't look that closely, I'll be honest, but next time I'm there, I will be looking. That is eagle-eyed from Craig. Colin says, I'd love to see Sir Alf Ramsey mural on the Churchman's End, First Division Championship trophy, Gov. Sort of adding on to what you were saying there, Lee, in terms of stepping out of the train station. And yes, you've got I think when you step out at the moment, what Matt was sort of alluding to, you've got that quality, you've got that presence. It looks really smart, with the different lighting and the font, etc. And then I think now you need to combine that, as sort of Lee was adding on to, with a little bit of who we are and the history and the place that this football club has played in English football. It isn't just one of the 92 or whatever. It is a club that has played a huge role in global football, really, when you think about the footprints and the coaching trees of the managers that have been here, etc. It's really, for a small town, which is what we are, has played a huge role in football. The stately home of English football, as a Sky commentator once famously, annoyingly said, Matthew Phillips, as Swindon were beating us 3-0.
Do you remember? Yeah, I mean, just to sort of go on from that point, I remember going to a very small village just probably about an hour outside of Barcelona. It's like a little chicken restaurant, where they roast it over the thing. Went in there to get a beer. Behind the bar was an Ipswich Town scarf and a photo of Bobby Robson. I was like, oh, my team. They said Barcelona. And I was like, there you go. So you get the affinity right there, even in the back streets of a small little village in Spain. Yeah. And
did you really just say? Do you remember that? Like, I'm going to forget Swindon beating us 3-0 with. It
was 3-2, wasn't it?
Scott Twine. It was 3-0 at one point. I'm sure of it.
3-0? Or maybe it wasn't 3-2 then. Scott Twine. Yeah, that's when we said we should sign Scott Twine, didn't we?
Yeah, But we've moved on from that as well. We've moved on from Cash and we've moved on from Twine. We're moving on to bigger and better things, my friends. And let's do the Flashpoints now. And as always, they're brought to you in association with Match Bingo. Don't forget, we have partnered with them to give you a 100% deposit bonus. We use the word town all in caps. That's town all in caps for a 100% deposit bonus. Deposit minimum is £10, and while bonus cash can be drawn, the winnings absolutely can be. So use the word town all in caps for that 100% deposit bonus. Over 18s only. Terms and conditions apply. Please gamble responsibly. Should you need to, visit begambleaware.org for more information. How to play? Scan the QR code next to their logo or click the link in the description today. Right, Flashpoint number 1. Inside 3 minutes, Lee Anderson. Town take the lead, and it comes courtesy of George Hurst. Christian Wharton plays it long into the feet of George Hurst. Could you say it was a slight mistouch? Yeah, but let's not go there. Let's instead say it was a great touch from George Hurst. Finds its way to Nunez, exchanges a 1-2 with Jayden Philogene, and then Nunez just puts the ball into a dangerous area with defenders facing their own goal. They hate facing their own goal, defenders. And, of course, Erin Cashin turns it in. George Hurst, then, you mentioned him in your opening piece. Let's start with that. I felt yesterday, Lee, that Town were more content to go longer George Hurst more often. They still played the traditional McKenna way in terms of drawing the press, but a lot of times, Christian Wharton particularly, was going long to George Hurst, asking him to hold the ball up and bring others into the game. How did you see the return of George Hurst?
Well, I thought he looked quite sharp. And, you mentioned about going longer more often. I think that's managing the game better. I think we've spoken before, haven't we, that we've been so fixated on trying to pass the ball around the back, and we've now got in a position where we're starting to mix up a little bit more. And what we saw yesterday, and I'll come on to the goal in a moment, is that Hurst really occupied the two around him. Where we could have got better is we could have got Núñez around Hurst a little bit more for the second ball, because he's not gonna control every single ball, bring it down and lay it off. That's not going to happen. But what you've got to do is you've got to have people in position to be able to pick up, it being an area to pick up the loose second ball. Normally what happens is we'll pump the ball up. You'll have a centre-back will go up with his striker. You'll have a second centre-back to cover, or the other centre-back will cover round, and then you'll have the centre of midfield will sit in front of the striker and the centre-back to pick up the loose ball. What we found with Núñez yesterday was he was a lot closer to Hurst when the ball was trapped. Luckily, whatever it was, but you pick up the second ball, and yeah, from there we break out. Núñez goes from playing like the centre number 10, and all of a sudden he's on the left wing, which is really good movement from him, and you can't pick that up. He crosses the ball in, and from where I was sitting, I thought Cashin was under a lot more pressure than when he was. But when you watch the replay, that's horrific. Absolutely horrific. One, he should be more aware of what's around him. And two, their goalkeeper was fantastic yesterday, by the way, but he's got to be telling him to leave it. The goalkeeper is there to say, let that ball go, let it go across. There's no one within 5-6 yards. No one's going to get that ball. And that's the real bit. If Hurst is on Cashin and there's pressure on the centre-back, then yes, he's got to deal with that. But he hasn't got to do anything with that ball other than let it go across his body. So that, I think from a Blackburn perspective, that would be, you'd be really devastated how that went in.
Completely and utterly agree with you. It's I thought he was under more pressure watching it live, and then when I was watching it back and doing bits and pieces with it, I was surprised as much as you were. And that's for me a case of a defender, as I said at the top, they hate facing their own goal, they hate going back towards their own goal. He is doing both of those things while also probably losing a little bit of awareness in terms of what's around him, who's around him. So his first instinct, not knowing, not being aware, is to try and clear it. And obviously he does a bit of a Cameron Burgess in trying to clear it and hits it in to the Town goal. He joins one of many defenders this year, Matthew, to score an own goal. But Núñez's movement yesterday, Colin says in the chat he didn't realise how good Núñez was. Absolutely brilliant. And one of my big things, going back and doing the tactics track, was just how good Núñez was. I wasn't quite aware live just how brilliant of a day he had. His movement created everything for us. Not just the first goal, but everything yesterday came through him.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. He was my man of the match yesterday. He created the most chances in the game. Then he scored an overhead kick sitting on the floor, didn't he?
Yeah,
I mean, well, he played a part in those first two goals, certainly, didn't he? The cross for Cashin, and then the corner for the Taylor one, which we'll get to in a minute. Can you presume that Cashin, making his league debut with that keeper, Toff, Hungarian, must have been a communication error? Just let it go off, like a goal kick throw-in or whatever. So it was weird, wasn't it? Because in real time, I thought Hurst was breathing down his neck and would have been there just to tap it in. That's why he's been forced to sort of hockey slap it into the slap into the top corner. He didn't need to do that at all. So it was very odd. But like Colin rightly says there, he didn't realise how good Núñez was. I don't think Núñez was this good at Norwich, to be honest with you. I mean, we saw him in dispatches, didn't we? Obviously, the free kick at Carrow Road that beat us. I don't think anyone felt that we was getting this calibre of player.
No.
I mean, so I don't think Norwich thought we was getting this calibre of player. I mean, being able to stay fit for one thing, touch wood. He apparently came with an injury record, didn't he? But and again, I've said it before, he's a sticking plaster in the 10, really, because no one's been able to step up in that. Chapman's gone to Portsmouth, Smodic's been out injured, although returns yesterday with the goal. Akpom's had to play in the 9 and didn't look too convincing when he's been in the 10. Núñez is like just on fire in the 10. On fire in the 10. I mean, I think he's probably still second or third in the assists record. Yeah, at the moment, tremendous. We have to keeping him fit.
Sometimes you're right, and sometimes it's better to be lucky than good. And I think we've lucked out in how we've come across the Núñez in the 10 position, because I may be wrong. I'm not Kieran McKenna. I'm not Martin Pert. I'm not Mark Ashton. As you can probably tell, I am not privy to the information, the plans of a player when they bring him in. But hand on heart, I could honestly say I would put money on, and I might be wrong, but I could put money on, he wouldn't have been viewed as a 10 when he was brought in, mate. It would have been Schmodix, Atcom in the 10. It would have been those two vying for that position with Nunez as your third auxiliary option if you needed to. But arriving at the need to has actually stumbled on a really good thing for our football club.
Yeah, brilliant. Absolutely. I mean, just tremendous. All roads lead through Nunez. I mean, he's just such a great technical player. I mean, we knew he was a technical player. We thought he was going to be further back in the pitch next to Matasiwa. That was the thinking, really. But just tremendous. I mean, let's hopefully it will roll on to Bristol City on Tuesday. Really, really. I mean, you've got to think that if we weren't to go up this season, worst case scenario, we don't go up. You know, you'd imagine some Premier League clubs would be looking at Nunez as, but when he's putting these kind of stats up, surely international player for one point.
Yeah, that's why we brought him in, to take us back to the promised land. NGBW2 says Jack Clark was creative and waddled off the ball with his movement in between the back lines. Of course, you can't really go into the second goal just yet, Lee, before touching on what could be a really bad moment for the football club, which is Jaden Philogene going down with an injury, coming off with an injury. I think Kieran McKenna said after the game, he just sort of felt his knee. It was a non-contact situation, which always makes...
I didn't see it. It was something... Did he get treatment off? All I knew was he said he was walking behind the churchman's going off. I was like, what the hell is going on here?
Yeah, so he was fine. He looked like he was fine. Then the ball went out for a throw. Then he went down, and then the doctor and the physio came on, talked to him, went off. He stood there for a minute or two, and then it was decided that he wouldn't be going back on. And whenever it's non-contactly, you immediately fear the worst, because obviously, you know, crunching tackle, you can go, oh, that. Maybe he's got a kick, etc., etc. But non-contact, you always go, "Oh my days, what's happened here?" And of course, he's gone off, and that could be a big thing for us, isn't it? Because he is, I'll say it, our most dangerous player. He is our most effective forward, and to lose him for any length of time, it's going to be bad news, Lee.
Yeah, I you know, the non-contact ones, the ones where you stand funny and twist your knee and you go down, and you know from an instant. I think, with what happened yesterday, first of all, he didn't seem in excruciating pain. So I don't think he's done like an ACL or anything like that. He might have stretched it or tweaked it, but he's not done a Wes Burns, has he? I mean, when Burns went down last season, you can see you can just tell. We've all been around long enough to know when someone is really proper hurt.
And of course, he made his way off his own power. He walked around the pitch on his own power. It wasn't like he was on a stretcher or anything, or the tractor had to come out, as it sometimes sadly does. You know, so yeah, you're right. You could tell it wasn't, you know, perhaps that bad. But then you also have to wonder the length of time and different things like that.
The Chelsea one, when he got taken off at Chelsea, do you remember in the 2-2? I mean, they had to help off the pitch, didn't they? I mean, that might be in the worry, you know, recuperating off, you know, inside a calendar year on that knee, which made him miss the 21 euros, didn't it? Hopefully he'll be all right.
Yeah. There's a real strange sort of passage of play, because I think what happened was the ball went out, and I think there was, I don't know if it's off the ball contact, but from my memory, there was a challenge, like a go for the ball. There wasn't nothing.
What Rob says here, yeah.
And then he felt something. But he's gone down, he's got treatment, and he's had treatment for probably a minute and a half. Clark's warming up, but Clark is not stripped. And then what happens is, it feels like he goes off the pitch as if he's about to come back on. And I turned around and said, oh, he seems okay, because Physio's standing there, he's going to have 30 seconds. That's how I remember it. And it might be wrong. And
it's what it looked like to us in the Crumble stand.
And he was going to come back on. Then all of a sudden it was like, well, no. So that little bit might be a worry. And then it took it took another minute or so for Clark to come on. What should have happened? Well, normally if it was it was one of those, when it sort of half and half, but injury. But if he had been really seriously injured, the physio would have said straight away, look, he's coming off.
Yeah.
But it was just a bit bizarre that he looked like he was then going to come back on, and then he didn't. And it took us, we were down to 10 players while we're getting Clark ready, which wouldn't normally happen in the game, would it? You would have the signal and he would be getting stripped off because you would want him to sit on the pitch. You wouldn't want to, perhaps the ref was trying to get him off the pitch to get the game moving. But if he sits on his arse and sits there, excuse the pardon, then that should give time for Clark to get ready. We shouldn't really be spending a minute and a half, 2 minutes without.
Which is why, as Rob says, Furlong went down, and he did. And then I clocked from the bench. They were saying, go down, stay down. They were buying that time, as it were, and just clever, as Rob says. And he is right. Darnell Furlong did go down, and it was clever from Darnell. And yeah, you're right. That is exactly what it looked like from my perspective, looking directly at it from the Cobble stand. It looked like it came off, received treatment, was looking like he may be ready to give it a go, and then maybe in some of that warm up, in terms of moving around, about to try and give it a go, maybe you felt it again, and then of course you're under that whole precautionary thing, aren't you, as medical doctors, and you're not quite sure what it is, needs to be tested or whatever it may be. I'm not a doctor, and I'm not even Freddie from Stonemarket Osteopath. So 01449613633. That's 01449613633. Stonemarket Osteopaths, physiotherapy and osteopath services. Boom! I've still got the segue right, but no, it is a big blow. All jokes aside, to us, Tuesday may come too early for Jayden, but hopefully, as I said yesterday on my match reaction show, Matt, I'll keep everything crossed and pray that it's not long term, because again, yesterday he's involved, albeit only a 1-2 for the first goal, but he is a player that you get excited about when he gets on the ball, because you expect now, you anticipate something is going to happen.
You certainly do at Portman Road. Slightly different.
But I'm not away from home, so yeah,
I do. I do agree with that. I mean, as we said last week, you stick him on the left-hand side of the box, cuts inside on his right foot. Cheat code. It's going top corner or to the left of the keeper, isn't it? So, yeah, I think you're right. I think it will come too soon Tuesday. So we've got to think that Clark will probably come into that position, but hopefully it was just precautionary. Actually, I think we were 2 up at that point, weren't we? So hopefully it was just precautionary. You're 2-0 up. It would be ridiculous to try and risk him when you've got such a cushion in the game. Well, I mean, bloody hell, the game was over after 12 minutes, really, weren't it? They never had a shot on target, did they, Blackburn? So the game was over before we even got to the quarter-of-hour mark. So it was probably good management. But yeah, let's just fingers crossed. We've been down this road with him before, as I said earlier, in the Chelsea game, and he was out for months. So hopefully we'll be back for maybe Sheffield United. Fingers crossed.
Yeah, we've got Bjorn, who's become a YouTube member. Bjorn, thank you ever so much for your support and believing in the platform. We really do appreciate it. Honestly, do appreciate it. And if you want to follow Bjorn's excellent example, very much a Dara O'Shea-led example there from Bjorn by leading from the front. And you can become a YouTube member, hit the join button, or head to our Ko-Fi. Just above the message on the screen is a little QR code, takes you there. Because Talking Town is fan powered, and for believing in the platform and supporting me as a content creator, you get extra access to new videos, member first videos, member only videos, Discord, one of which I've got a little clip from a tactics video I put together today. It's about set pieces, because I love set pieces. You know me and set pieces. It's our second goal. I'm going to roll it, and then we'll talk about our second goal directly after. I love a good set piece, and this was a little bit of a variation of the theme we spoke about last week. Last week, you may remember, we used the set piece where Dara O'Shea, well, I say last week, a week before last now, really, where Dara O'Shea got himself free due to a Kipre, I wouldn't say dummy run, but he used Kipre's run to get himself free. And once again, he's done it here. So as you can see, Tanner of the corner, Martino Nunez is our corner taker, an excellent corner taker, by the way. Egley patrols that 18-yard box. You've got Jayden Philogene, and then you've got a collection of players. You've got Jack Taylor, the eventual goal scorer. You've got Darnell Furlong. You've got George Hurst. There we go. It's George Hurst. And then, of course, you've got O'Shea and Kipre. And that's really where I want to highlight, just in here. It's 2v2, okay? It's 2v2. Excellent. So what does O'Shea do? He uses the run of Kipre, on the movement of Kipre, to come round the back post, get his head on it, and just look at what's happened here. The ball is knocked down. And you could say Blackburn are in a great position. But if you remember a player called Kevin Nolan, he made an absolute career, not just a career, but he made a name for himself in getting goals in this area here, because the ball will fall here. The goalkeeper, a defender, the ball will fall. And Town have 2 players there eagerly waiting to snap up anything that falls onto the ground. But really, I wanted to highlight the movement of Dara O'Shea. As you can see just here, It's 2v2. Kit Prate is in an arm wrestle, literal arm wrestle, as you can see. Yes, you could argue that's a foul. Yes, you could argue that is a penalty if you wanted to. The referee, obviously, here is aware of it. He is telling them. He's telling them. But look at what I wanted to highlight really was Dara O'Shea and his movement, because look at that is Dara O'Shea's marker. There is Dara O'Shea. There is the space to go and attack. That's what you want, because you've got that advantage now. You've given yourself 3 or 4 yards of space by simply standing behind your centre-half partner who is being wrestled, just using him as a decoy. I really love it. I really like it. And what I really like about it, of course, is the fact we get 2 players just inside that 6-yard box waiting for that Kevin Nolan-esque, where he scored so many goals, Kevin Nolan, so many goals in that area that he really made he made it an art form, to be brutally honest with you. So another excellent set piece. There we go. Right. There we go. I do love a good set piece. I do love a good set piece. And you'll get the penalties on there as well. I've discussed the penalties or lack of penalties. But let's go to that second goal then, Matt, because as I've just sort of highlighted there, I spoke about it a couple of weeks ago on the last tactics video I did, where we had our 2 centre-halves 2v2 and they used each other as a decoy run, if you like. Worked again yesterday. The set piece is probably a little bit deeper than they would have liked. But we've got bodies in and around. There was a throw on later on in the game where, again, we've got Kit Prate this time flicking the ball on, and we've got runners approaching it. We're really, for me, improving our set pieces as we go. I really do feel that.
Yeah, you're utilising the strengths that Dara O'Shea's got, that he's shown at other clubs, West Brom and Burnley, in terms of like the set piece threat. I think when he was in the Premier League with Burnley, just before we signed him, he had like 6 or 7 assists or something, all from set pieces. I mean, he's got a great spring on him in terms of, and you saw it there in terms of, that was a good description. Kevin Nolan-esque, very good description. Ball goes back across the goal, then it gets stuck in the mud or whatever, and Taylor's just there to poke it in. But I mean, look, Kit Prate is a wall, isn't he? And he's holding on 2 Blackburn players there, WWE style. So the perfect foil for that movement, really good.
Yeah, it very much was for me, Kevin Nolan. Whenever I see a player lead that's coming off the goalkeeper or at the feet of the goalkeeper, always reminds me of Kevin Nolan, because he did make a good chunk of his goals throughout his career. It feels like just in that position where he'd be in between the goalkeeper and the defenders, just waiting for that knockdown, because that ball will, as it did yesterday, eventually land, and then you're in the perfect position just to do what Jack Taylor did, which is just toe poke it home. And how good was it to get Jack Taylor on the score sheet?
Yeah, it was really good. Again, from the other end, I don't see it very well. But I mean, just on Kevin Nolan, what a fantasy footballer pick he is. He has been over the years. I had him in the Works one with, there was probably 50 or 60 people in that, and I won the fantasy football. And I had Kevin Nolan in from the start of the season. He was a great asset to a fantasy football team. Anyway, that's a side issue. But yeah, I've written down a couple of things here on the set pieces. I think the O'Shea one, we try to use that quite often. You've got to get the blocker in to do that, but to run round the back. And I think the reason we use that is it's very hard to stop. Once you break, Kit Prate blocks the other defender who's marking O'Shea.
There's that arm wrestle, isn't there? As a highlight, it's that arm wrestle. They're literally, the referee's looking at it, he's pointing at it, and it's half a dozen of one, half dozen of the other. Who are you going to decide is making the foul? But yeah, the Kit Prate is certainly blocking off there. Yeah.
So he's blocking off, and of course with the arced run, that's very difficult to pick up, because if you pull away and then you're coming back, you're attacking the ball, and it's very hard for the defender then. So the O'Shea is always generally, if it's the idea is that he's going to run onto the ball, so he's going to be in a better position to get a header, whether it's at goal. And of course, I guess the first point is if it's inside the post in the 6-yard box, O'Shea's going to look to head to goal. If it goes further than that, then you're looking to narrower. You're looking to knock it back across the goal. So I think there's two aspects to that. So that I mean, it's good to see we're scoring more. And set pieces are really important. We had a lucky first goal. Let's say it was lucky. We had the set piece, but we did dominate the game. So overall, you would think you'd have that. But just on the set pieces, 2 other points. We swap the kickers or the takers. So we go from in swinging to out swinging. Now, what that means is, as a defence, I would say, if I was defending, and of course the other teams will probably look at it in more detail, that if you're just getting in swingers coming in all the time, you get used to that. And then when you see the out swinger, you think, oh, what they're going to produce now. If you look back for us over 2 or 3 years, you know, we've had Leif Davis take a lot of the corners. Then all of a sudden, Sam Morsey would take one. And you know that the reason Sam Morsey's taken that corner is because he's going to smash it out to the top of the box for Chaplin to run on and try to score. So we can see it, but you know, that just shows the detail that goes into the corners, and rotating, having different takers, really, you know, the in swing and the out swinger does add a string to the bow. And the last thing is, all these corners, it's so overcoached now, just me being old-fashioned, I guess. You could probably award 3 penalties and 3 free kicks every corner, because there's people hugging you saw that. There's people hugging each other, and there's all sorts going on. The referee stops the game before the corner, doesn't he? He tells 2 people off. Makes no difference. They go on. They still pull each other about and fall around. And you just want a bit of consistency. I'm not sure what you can do to change the rules on that, but corners aren't quite as, I don't think, as exciting as they used to be. Not up until the last 10, 15 years when, you know, there's so much more involved in coaching than there used to be, I think.
You mean when it's not a traditional stick it in the mixer and see what finds out? You see what happens. And I agree with you. It is, and obviously you've now got set piece coaches. It's a huge thing, and it's a part of the game that's now really coming back into fashion with the top clubs in England and across the world, but particularly in England, really making the most. You know, Arsenal in the week being called Set Piece FC, etc. To Liam Rosenior in his Chelsea press conference and things like that, and they are. And the more you get coaches involved and dedicated managers involved, Mark Hudson here at the football club obviously is a set piece coach. It's his primary role. You are going to get more and more, as you've just said there, towards, you know, over coach, or not over coach, but, you know, in terms of how you arrive at what you arrive at. And you're right, different takers provide different quality of balls. They give different questions for goalkeepers and defenders to think about. But I just really enjoy seeing us now manufacture things and actually, you know, like you say there, changing the takers. Something as simple as that. It just shows that we're really putting some thought into it. I've long argued over the last 18 months, where's the creativity? Where's the sort of the whiteboard to training ground to match day? And we saw it, this goal here, but what you just highlighted there, Oxford, is where you've got Dyer O'Shea in the prime position, header on goal off the line. Very similar routine where they've used Kipre being such an imposing figure as a way to get Dyer O'Shea free, where he draws attention away, he draws defenders with him, which of course leaves somebody else who's just as good at heading the ball in the air, you know, free or 1v1, etc. And it's just back-to-back home games now. I've seen that, and this week we got a goal from it. We've got runners in off the throw-in, off a Darnell Furlong throw-in. We nearly scored a goal. I was nearly on the floor in shock that Ipswich Town had a long throw, that they knew what they wanted to do with it. I've watched Jonas Knudsen, I've watched Darnell Furlong, and I've often said, do we know these guys can throw it long? Because we look like it's a brand new thing to us. Like, oh my days, he threw it long. I didn't know he could do that. Did you know he could do that? Suddenly we look like a team that actually knows we can do that. So, you know, certainly big improvements. But I say that, but not massively great improvements, Matt, because their situation penalty that the Blackburn manager is complaining about, shall we say, comes from a set piece. It's a breakaway, falls on the right hand side to Leif Davis. He loses the ball, and they're suddenly on us. And we've seen that so many times where teams have transitioned from our own set piece into an attacking opportunity. It wasn't given. How did you see that incident between Darnell Furlong and the attacking player for Blackburn Rovers?
I was more concerned about the one that followed it in that passage of play where Cantwell went down on the byline. And the referee does look over at the line-o to see if he's put his flag up to show it's a pen, and obviously he didn't give it. But Yeah, it's one of the ones I think you have to go back and say, all right, like when I was chatting to Crunch on the phone, he was like, oh, what did you think of that, the pen in the middle? I was like, was there one? I mean, do you know what I mean? It was one I had to sort of go back, but innocuous, really. I mean, as you said earlier, like Ishmael's always moaning about Ipswich, and they're going to get over the postponed match abandoned game, are they, from earlier in the season? So at least they got to play on a decent pitch yesterday. That was actually their best opportunity, wasn't it? Suddenly it's be rained off. I mean, it ain't going to happen at Portman Road, is it? But no, I wasn't particularly concerned about that one, really. The Blackpool pen was more nailed on last week than that one, was my take on it. And I was more concerned about the Campbell challenge that followed it in the second phase.
Yeah. I've gone into detail on their penalty incident on the video. I'm quite interested in it because, as you say, live, I thought it wasn't it? I don't remember even really seeing it. But there is a situation there. But however, Lee, if we're talking penalties, there's a stone wall penalty not given up the other end, is there not, on Ivan Azon when he comes on?
Yeah, I've not seen the replay, but that looks. I mean, has he got the ball? The ref says he's got the ball, has he? But he's coming from behind, and that, if you're given the Greaves penalty last week, then this one, Greaves was at least trying to get around the side of the attacker. And of course, different referees will see it slightly differently. And I'm not saying that referees can be exactly the same, because you've got the human element. But if you're going to analyse both, Azon's he's been taken down from behind.
It's a clear penalty for me, Lee.
Yeah, it just, he's got no reason to dive. He's got no reason. It just, the way the players fall and how it happens, it just felt like a penalty. It just looked a pen. And, the only one that it looked, do you remember the one for Jack Clark last year? No, Jack Clark last year, where we got awarded a pen that was overturned because apparently it kicked in. Do you know that wasn't even that his leg was the other side, and he's coming behind him. And I know I'm an Ipswich fan, but if that would have been, the shoe was on the other foot, that was, we would have got away with one, because it was just clumsy, desperate. Azon's about to shoot, it's a pen. I mean, unless the referee knows that Azon won't hit a barn door from sort of 5 yards.
I feel sorry for Azon
anyway. I'm not saying, no, I'm only joking. But it just looked at. I can't say any more than that.
No, because it was
replay.
Yeah, well, see, it was a penalty for me, and I'm sure many others. And I feel sorry for Azon, because he's worked himself into a really good position there, and you want him to have that opportunity on goal, because he perhaps needs that confidence. He needs that opportunity to have another goal under his Town belt. And not only does he not manage to get the shot away, it's for me a foul, and we don't even get the penalty off the back of it. So you can say, well done, Azon, for getting yourself in that position and winning yourself a penalty. And live, referee, I think he was speaking to Dara O'Shea. Obviously, I'm in the cobble stand. I'm sure he did the old that where they suggest he got the ball. And the referee's absolutely right. He did get the ball. However, to get the ball, you had to go through Azon's ankle to win the ball. So he got Azon's ankle and ball. So you're right. But you're only halfway right. And obviously, to do that, to go through a player, for me, and I'm pretty sure the rule book still says, or the law book still says the same, it's a foul. But there we go. It wasn't given. So both sides could be a little bit aggrieved, potentially, that they weren't given a decision. But overall, it wouldn't have made a blind bit of difference, Matt, because Town, before we go into our likes and dislikes, were just in total domination, weren't they?
Well, yeah, I mean, the cherry on the cake, of course, is the third goal, isn't it? We were talking about Azon. I think this goes unnoticed. He actually does superbly well to hold off the Blackburn defender, lay it off to Cahuste.
Excellent.
And then, now this is the Cahuste I want to be seeing that you didn't see in the Premier League, which is this sort of athletic, powerful run forward on a sixpence.
Great turn.
Yeah, brilliant. On a sixpence to Burns, defence splitting pass, brilliant from Wes, one touch over to Smodix, and sticks it in. That was a really great goal, I thought. I mean, it goes unnoticed in it 2-0, and you make it 3 right at the death. But I thought that was a really good goal. And because with Azon, as we keep saying, with Ivan, you'd have like a 30-40 million pound player in there, I reckon, if he got that effort and could keep backing up, scoring, and could score the goals off the back of it. We just haven't seen that. That's what's lacking from his game at the moment. But you can't fault his effort, his enthusiasm. You know, it reminds me of Shefke in a way that Joe Roll used to joke, didn't he, chase a crisp packet across the pitch. He's that kind of character, I think. And he's just missing the finishing touch, really. But I'll give him all the credit in the world for being for starting that third goal. But it was great, and the Coos they run brilliant, really good.
Yeah, agreed. And I think if you had another centre forward that was really doing the business, you'd feel completely differently about Azon. You'd be so excited about the potential this player they've brought into the football club has, because his centre forward play at times is really good. And yesterday you highlighted it and you nailed it. You know, centre forward play there to hold the ball off, hold a Blackburn defender off. It's really good. And then he finds Karius, and Karius does what Karius does best, and that's a really good turn and then drive with the ball.
Pretty good.
Wes Burnsley came on. I thought yesterday, all the substitutions, one of my likes, I'll say it now. I really liked the substitutions yesterday, not just because of the qualities they've individually got, but I thought they brought an enthusiasm and energy to a team when it needed it, and really gave us another shot in the arm. Wes Burns on that right-hand side, Jens Karius in the centre of the park, even Azon up front. I really enjoyed watching those three players towards the back end of the game, just with that energy and that enthusiasm that they brought. Yeah,
the timing seems similar because you're 2-0 up, so it does feel a little bit more sort of relaxed. I was pleased with Burns yesterday because when he came on before, we mentioned on the show, didn't we? He'd been on 20 minutes and touched the ball twice. They didn't give him the ball.
Was it even that?
Yeah, was it? But yeah, and that was in it.
Was that in like 95 plus 32 seconds? That was about to blow up. Yeah.
Yeah. So I you know, it got involved more yesterday, and with a weary defence, with his pace and his direct running, he offers that what you want. So I think, you know, there's a debate now, isn't there, between does Egley start, does Burns start, and what you've got to realise, I think what you've got to take into consideration is they're two completely different players.
Sure.
On that wide side, so Egley likes to come inside, is more of a threat coming inside. Philogene does the same on the opposite wing, comes inside, curls that ball into the far corner. You can see Egley trying to do the same thing, but just not hitting that off at the moment. So I don't think it's a competition between the two. I just think it's more about, now we've got Burns up, fit and running, they just offer their different dynamics. Burns is going to go down the outside. Burns is going to want the ball more over the top, you know, like the Chaplin-esque, where he used to whip that first time ball behind the back. And we started to see that with Burns yesterday. I think, was it Nunes played him in a couple of times. But for the third goal, the way Karius played him in, I mean, let's not forget that, you know, forget that pass. If that was someone in the Premier League, they'd be waxing lyrical about that pass. It was inch perfect. And all Burns had to do. Burns could have taken a shot, but credit, they rehearsed the game. He plays an absolute perfect ball in that corridor of uncertainty. And there's Sammy to blast the ball in. And to be fair, the goalkeeper actually nearly got to that one as well, because I think he got to one from Azon earlier on, that how that didn't go in and such like. So yeah, I probably drifted off the script a little bit there, but I think you know, Burns coming on with that substitution was a really positive. We've now got an alternative to Egley coming on the inside. But Karius, you know, when you get 70 minutes, 75 minutes in a championship game, we're 2-0 up and the teams are pressing, and you bring him on and he gets an opportunity to run forward with the ball, you're absolutely the opposition, unless they're going to get the first tackle, they've had it. He did it against Sheffield Wednesday, didn't he? Yeah. And, you know, an old side with, you know, their I say old side, that's probably not the fair assumption, but they're tiring in the game. The strength of the squad to bring that type of player on to run through, it just shows why we're going to get stronger, and it really shows that, you know, we're going to have a good push for the end of the season, I think, as providing everybody's fit.
Yeah, Macca says Egley versus Burns would be a nice debate of the coming dozen games or so. A chance for McKenna to tinker with his lineup. I'm quite happy with it being Burns off the bench, to be honest with you. That's a nice little 1-2 punch. You're developing Egley. You're seeing what he can do. You're still giving him the game time. He had a moment yesterday, nice volley that he kept
Really
down. Good save
save
from
as
the
well.
goalkeeper. Yeah, another shot which was more of a daisy cutter, which he probably should have done better with.
Cut into the middle, didn't he? Yeah.
Yeah, but then Burns comes on with a little bit of pace, energy, enthusiasm, all those different things you want as a substitute, particularly out wide on the right. And the fullback, who's already tired, already played a good 70 minutes, has a new problem to contend with. I think Mark said it on our fan reaction show in regards to Egley. Just needs to add to that toolbox. Too many times yesterday he wanted to come inside and never really threatened the outside of cash-in. And you've got to threaten the outside to open the inside. You can't just threaten one way because then it becomes too easy and too painting by numbers, if you like, for a centre half where he knows what you're going to do the moment you've got it. You haven't got to worry about you going down the left side or down the channel. But Sammy Spodix, Matt, got his goal at Portman Road. It's a long time coming, but he's finally back from illness and he's got his goal at Portman Road. It came against his old club. Good to see him up and running.
Yeah, brilliant. Although moments before then, he took one on the ankle, didn't he? And went down.
He did. Yeah.
Back of potatoes. I thought he's out for 6 months. But I mean, it was great. I mean, we keep saying this, don't we? You know, Chuba scores. Will he go on a run? Well, now he's injured by all accounts. He's got a bit of a groin thing. Ditto Ivan. You saw him score against Swansea. Was it Pompey? Was it Pompey? I can't remember who he scored against. Yeah, he got one up all round, didn't he? 2 goals. Was it Oxford? Just tell me in the comments. You want them to go on and do something
before Christmas. I think it was Portsmouth.
Yeah.
I think.
And now you've got Spodix finally broken that duct. He's got 4 away from home, hadn't he, in the Premier League for us? The fox in the box kind of finisher. There was some people were crying out for in the comments here I've seen. But brilliant. I mean, that now hopefully will give him a foundation, a platform to start pushing Núñez, because Núñez is nailed on for the 10 at the moment. Probably don't give you the same goal for it, obviously, that Spodix has got. But he might start pushing for that now. And that would allow Núñez to go back into his more natural position of one of the 2 centre mids. But yeah, great to see. A long time coming for Spodix, wasn't it?
Too long.
It's been frustrating for us fans and for him as an individual, I would imagine. So really good. But he's got some really good goals, isn't he, in the Premier League? I mean, you think back to Manchester City, the breakaway there, the overhead kick against Tottenham.
Yeah,
these are the kind of things we want to see now in the back end of the season as we try and cement a top 2 position. And hopefully Spodix can, show what he had at Blackburn. Been few and far between so far.
Well, I did say on the match preview show midweek he would score, and I did say his return could be like a new signing. So far so good. We've certainly got off to a great start. So thanks very much, Sammy. Continue down that vein, and come May, I'll look like I actually know what I'm talking about. We're going to go to our voice messages now, and we appreciate every single person who leaves us a voice message. We truly appreciate it. It's so easy to do. Pick up your phone, head to speakpipe.com/Talking Town and say, hey, Talking Town, I think that Jayden Philogene is the best player we've ever had at our football club, and without him, we would be nothing. Or, hey, Talking Town, who do you think will play instead of Jayden Philogene? Whatever it is, whatever your opinion, your question, your rant, your praise, whatever it may be, leave it on speakpipe.com/Talking Town. It's so easy. It's just like a WhatsApp voice message. It's free. You don't sign up. You don't have to even say your name if you don't want to. And we appreciate everyone who does it, and we'll play them on the show. So here's the collection from this weekend, and then I'm going to ask you some questions based off it. So here we go.
Evening, Gov. Evening, Talking Town. Just wanted to jump on with a bit of a thought ahead to the Blackburn game on Saturday. Watch the show tonight. Good show as always. You and Ben. Lovely. I was the caller you were talking about with regards to the Akpom thing. I completely and utterly stand by my results on that. I want to see him still in the number 9. Leave him. Let him do it. Let him see what he can do. If he can't do it, he can't do it. But give him a fucking chance to do it. Let's just see, because I think there's something in there. And the rest of it, going down the Talking Town format, gut meter check, 9 out of 10. I think we'll beat Blackburn. Random one for it though. I have got this weird tingling in all of my senses. Spodix is going to score his first Premier League goal. Jesus, let's not get ahead of ourselves. His first Portman Road goal against his old club. He's going to score on Saturday. It's going to be 3-1. We want to play well. I think man of the match is going to be. I think Kit Bray's going to score one and have an absolute blinder. I think we're going to win. I think we're going to win, and we're going to keep the momentum going that we kind of lost a little bit with the Portsmouth game being off, and then we're going to go, and then we're going to find ourselves in second in a couple of weeks, touch and distance to top. Upper Talking Town, come on the Blues, HMS, piss the league, it's coming. Hopefully.
Right, so I've tried to calm down. I'm a Blackburn fan. My name's Katie, and I can't even believe my team. Like, genuinely, like, how have we got that bad? That I remember, probably obviously when Smanix was playing for us, you know, we had a really good team. You know, I think it ended up being you won 4-3. We've had 1-1s. We've played all right, but the team just seemed to not even bother. We've got fans that are paying £38, and again, I'm not going to complain at your pricing, but paying that amount to watch that performance is disgusting. I hope they get a refund, genuinely. Just, do I think we deserved a penalty? Probably. I think some of the playing from Furlong was very dirty. However, doesn't change anything in terms of opinions. We were shit. Utter fucking shit. And anyone, and including Blackburn fans, that is on that pitch right now fucking clapping them, take a good hard fucking look at yourself. I'm out because I'm fuming. So I apologise, I'm fucking out of here. But I can't believe it. Well done, Ipswich. We're fucking shit and we need a new pitch.
A really good performance and result yesterday from Ipswich at Portman Road. And thinking back over the course of the results of the last month and the differences in the performances that we've seen, I think what I'm really pleased about is how comfortable in our skin the team looks now. I think we've clicked. I think we've gelled. I think looking at what we've done in recent games, you know, if you're a team at the top of the table, we've got enough to be able to take points off you, as we have with Coventry. If you're a team that's struggling, then we've got enough to break you down or overwhelm you, as we did yesterday. And I really think, looking at the team, it looks comfortable with what it's doing. It looks as though the players believe in themselves and in each other. And although we've got some stern tests coming up over the next couple of weeks, especially in February, yesterday was the first time I looked at us and thought, yeah, I think we're going to go up, and I think we'll make up the difference, not just on Middlesbrough, but maybe on Coventry as well. Excellent stuff, and long may it continue.
Excellent. Appreciate all of those voice messages. I'll start with caller number 2, Matt Blackburn. The caller wasn't very happy, really. As Macca says, no, sorry, not Macca. As Trevor says, say what you think. Yeah, just to sort of speak a little bit on what you heard there, but also Blackburn as a whole. Were you surprised at how poor they were?
Yeah, I was actually, because not to use a pun here, but it's been heavy weather literally against them, isn't it? We're losing the game, the first one at Ewood. We have to result on a 95th minute equaliser up there to get a point in the rearranged game. But they offered nothing, did they, yesterday? Like we were saying before we came on here, they literally had nothing. They didn't even have a shot at goal. And it's not round the corner to get up there either, is it? And she rightly says, 38 quid to watch it. You don't even pay that as an away fan in the Premier League, do you? It's capped at £30. So yeah, I feel really sorry for the. I mean, fantastic that they all came down. I mean, everyone forgets Blackburn Rovers are a Premier League champion historically. Yeah. But, you know, that's light years away from that Kenny Dalglish era, isn't it? So, yeah, I felt really sorry for them. They look like a relegation side, quite frankly. I mean, you know, if any Blackburn fans are watching, you know, I don't say that of any pleasure, but I mean, they were saying that some of their away performances have been decent, and they hadn't conceded a lot of goals, but. Well, for whatever reason, they just weren't at the races against us yesterday. I actually watched it when I got home. It was called Blackburn Rovers Overseas or something. Blackburn Rovers Overseas, something like that. And the guy, Blackburn fan, had come down. He goes, I must have lost my mind. What am I doing, travelling all this way down to Suffolk? But he talks to 2 Ipswich fans called Tim and Matt. One was from lives in Belgium and come over. Another one comes over regularly from Paris. Yeah. And it me sometimes moaning about getting the train up from Chelmsford. So I mean, brilliant. I see we had an Italian fan in earlier. Vito was in the comments as well. So I mean, so great. But I mean, look, kudos to everybody who travels. Whether you're a Blackburn fan, Ipswich fan, when you're coming from Central Europe or coming down from the Northwest. fair play to you all. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and they've got a number of injuries as well. And Craig said the difference between a parachute side and a lower half championship side, get a few injuries, really shows. Macca says, it's fair to call that had as many 10 injuries yesterday. Wrong way to come down Portman Road for no shots on target. Lee.
Johnson, did they? No good Johnson, he'd got the goal at Ewood.
He got the goal at he got the goal at Ewood, didn't he, against us when he's their manager's done a lot of moaning about Ipswich this year. But to be fair, he's also got some of it is self-induced in terms of pitch. But equally, with points at a premium, he could probably feel aggrieved his side hasn't got 3 extra points and or certainly 2 extra points than they currently have. But Lee, Bjorn, calling number 1, wants Akpom as a centre forward, and obviously Akpom didn't play yesterday, got an injury. How urgent is it that Town address that position for you in this window? Or are you actually okay now? You've got George Hurst back fully fit. You've got Ivan Azon. Akpom will return back to fitness. Smolix is now back from his illness, so you've got another option in that 10 position, which frees up Akpom. Are you just as urgent, more urgent, or less urgent to try and find a possible centre forward?
Oh, what a question. So first of all 3 callers are brilliant. All 3 callers were brilliant. Loved it.
They were.
In actual fact, I'll say to people, it's harder to pick up the phone and try to record a message than it is to come on live and say your piece, honestly, because you can just contradict yourself. I think if I tried to record a message, it'd probably take me 6, 7, 8, 9 goes. But
it doesn't have to. I don't mind what it sounds like. You might think it's the best. I can always, if you want me to play around with it and edit in terms of cut out any or spaces or whatever it might be. It doesn't have to be broadcast professional. Just come on there and have your say. I mean, trust me, I host a show and I'm not broadcast professional, so you're fine. You're fine.
They're just brilliant. They're always brilliant. And they're good to listen to. Just quickly on the second caller, she says a lot, she heart on her sleeve and all that sort of stuff. Just goes to show how much better we are than a lot of teams. It does. It really does. And it's not being arrogant, and we should be, because we've got the money, we've got the back, and the club that we are. And you hear it quite often. Teams that are going well, we've played them, and then they've had a really poor performance. Sometimes you have to turn around and say, well, actually, the opposition are just better than you, and it might not be. And it's hard to take sometimes. We had it in the Premier League. Teams were just better than us, and and that's really difficult. But on the striker, what's urgent? Well, if there's a striker out there that's going to come in and be better, I mean better, that's going to come in, hit the ground running, and be better than what we already have, then yes, of course. I'm not sure that we're in a position, if we're going to buy a striker, when I talk about buy, someone that's going to come in for 2-3 seasons, I'm not sure that we would hang on until the summer. If we need somebody to come in like we did 2 years ago when Hurst gets injured, and we need a proven championship striker to come in to score us the goals to get us to the Premier League, then if the club is in that position, then yes, we desperately need someone. But I'm not sure where we are with a team that's really purring. I'm not really sure it doesn't matter who plays up front. I really mean that. Do we want someone that can come in that can score the goals? Absolutely. But if they're already scoring the goals, it's going to cost you a little bit of money. And are they going to score you the goals in the Premier League? And I think I've said this before, and I think that's where we are with that. I think we need to. I think we've got other positions that take priority. For example, centre midfield. I think we need another centre midfielder. I really do, because for numbers. So we need somebody that's going to come in and might be happy to sit on the bench. So you remember 2 years ago we had what's his name from Blackburn? It's gone up my mind.
Lewis Travis.
Travis came in, happy to come in, played his part, sat on the bench most of the time, sat as cover, but would come in if we got an injury, would come in and do a really solid championship a championship shift in. So for striker wise, I don't know. We might have somebody lined up that was, that you would say, yeah. I mean, we've mentioned Josh Sargent in the past. It's not going to be him. But if you've got a striker out there that's of quality of him that we can go and nab in January, and we think that they're going to offer a good bit in the Premier League, then of course we're going to go and do that. But I don't think the club will put money in just to get out of the Championship at this stage of the season. I think they'll be a little bit more cautious with that and then build again.
I would love it to be Josh Sargent just for the meltdown, to be honest with you, because I think, it would be so funny.
Never going to be.
No, I know.
We could offer them 100 million, and there is no way on this planet that they're going to sell Josh Sargent to Ipswich Town.
Completely agree with you. But can you imagine the reaction? I mean, if you thought the Nunez reaction was something, wait until you see the player they all love. I mean, not so much love now. He's sort of suggested he wants to move away, and he's training with the second team. Obviously, he's taken a little bit of the shine off that, but still, they love him. They think he's the best player in the Championship. Just imagine. Said Toronto FC spending 12 million, ITFC spends 13, and they say yes. But Matt, we're going to end the show very shortly because we could go on. It really does feel like for the rest of the night, lots to unpack from yesterday. But we are live again tomorrow, 8 p.m. Match preview, Bristol City. Joining me is George Dunn and Alex Wilson. So do join us as we look ahead to the battle of number 5s, Sam Morsey, Matasiwa, and of course at the game on Tuesday night. But I want to put the question to you that Leighton's put to us in the chat as we close. I'd be interested to know how you justify Leif Davis' selection as a left back, only 3 assists and no longer defends and stretches our defence. Greaves needs to come in now just to have a solid back 4. Your thoughts on Leighton's comment there, Matthew?
Interesting one, that. Yeah, I mean, I do get that, but you just can't lose the Davies threat, the attacking threat. It's just not going to happen, is it? I mean, if McKenna was of that mindset, then Greaves would have kept his place after Coventry. We played very well away from home. Arguably was man of the match, to be honest with you. I mean, I think I gave it to Nunez, once again getting multiple assists in that game. But I think if McKenna was of that mindset, then Greaves would have kept his place there. But he hasn't, has he? So, I mean, it's just not going to happen. I mean, Davis's assist numbers obviously are down from what they were in the promotion season. But it's just he's undroppable. He's one of these players that's undroppable. O'Shea, Matasiwa, Davis, they're always on the team sheet, aren't they? They're always on the team sheet. Even Greaves playing so well as he did at the CBS Arena wasn't enough to keep Leaf out the side. So that's just the way it is. That was a good shout earlier by someone said about Vopotnik at Swansea. He's got 11 goals in 25. So that's he won that great against us when we beat him 4-1. Didn't help, of course, Cameron Burgess kept volleying him in the other end. Probably lost motivation. But yeah, he's an I think he's Slovenian him. I eventually found out where Ivan's other goal was, talking to Swansea. I said all the sides in the Championship other than the one it was against. Coventry, the 3-0.
Of course, yes.
You were right before Christmas. But yeah, I mean, it's good to be having these conversations, isn't it? We have the luxury of being able to talk about Greaves and the match against Coventry or whatever. Not even getting the side after. He drops out of the side after that, didn't he? That was probably our best away performance of the campaign.
Yeah,
a little exercise.
Oh, sorry.
No, go on. It's fine.
Davis went down a couple of times yesterday, didn't he?
He did, yeah.
He went down a couple of times.
Didn't he? Knock on the head, yeah.
You thought maybe you could have got Greaves on a little bit earlier, perhaps, because he would have been more. So the mindset is more defensive to bring Greaves on, and the point that the person made is valid in terms of defensive wise. And you're thinking, it just shows perhaps the mindset of the club running towards adversity, trying to get the third goal. Is that obviously if you're trying to get that, I think you get more out of Davis because he's more attack minded. But at 2-0, you could have easily pulled him off in the game and said, right, go on, Jacob, because you've really shown what you've done against Coventry. Bring him on and we'll go from there. But hindsight's a great thing. Does that then bring the opposition onto you? do we use Davis because on the counter attack he's looking good. So yeah, it's a really interesting one. But what I would say is that I think we spoke about it before, is that with Davis, and I know you don't like him, Martin, but you've got the pre-assists, you've got him bombing, you've got Philogene on the corner of the box, and you've got a defender thinking, I've been briefed all week about what he's going to do. He's going to cut inside and he's going to smash it in the far corner, and I've got to stop it. And then when you think you're going to do that, you've got a left back that's bombing down past you, and you're thinking, is he going to give it to the left back, or is he going to cut it inside and smash it into the back corner? I don't think Greaves gives you that bit from an attacking perspective. So I think that's the trade-off. But certainly with only one real left back, you would think there would be a little bit more wrapping him up and giving Greaves, because he can clearly do a job in that position for a limited period. You would think that would be a position where you would look to a sub 15 minutes to go if you're winning the game, to just show that up a little bit more, perhaps.
Yeah, potentially. But then, it always feels like, particularly under McKenna, we're football players, we play football, that's our job. And what comes of playing football comes of playing football, all the good side, and of course, those risks that come with it. And of course, we've had managers in the past that have perhaps looked a little bit differently in terms of, we've got to protect this player, or it's FA Cup weekend, not going to play him, or whatever it might be, etc., etc. But with Leif Davis, I agree with you totally. I think Jacob Greaves is a good defender, but is limited in terms of his ability compared to Leif Davis going forward. And we've got this new tactical wrinkle, haven't we, where we like to play Leif Davis on the inside, but also have him available to go on the outside just to free up that space for Jaden Philogene. Would Greaves be able to do that? Probably not. In fact, Greaves' best partner is probably Clark, where Clark will look to hug the touchline more, and Greaves can just help in a limited fashion, as opposed to have to be really involved with it. But I actually got a little exercise for people who are into their stats and whatnot, and there's quite a lot of them on ITFC Twitter, etc. I would like to know, if you took away set pieces, just how many assists Leif Davis got in that season, just to compare his assists this year to that minus a set piece. Obviously now he's sharing the set piece duty with Nunez and others, but primarily Nunez. So he's taking less free kicks, taking less corners, which of course result in less opportunities for those assists. And one of the big things about Leif Davis was those set pieces, Matt. He was phenomenal.
Yeah. Well, he was right. That's a very good point. Let's give Leif some kudos here as well. I mean, we talk about good corners and set pieces this season. Nunez ball in, Leif volley on the edge of the box at Oxford. Yeah, it was a goal of the month contender, wasn't it? So yeah, exactly.
Just I'd be intrigued to know, like you mentioned 3 assists there. Well, how would that compare to what would have looked like if you'd taken out, because he is a left back at the end of the day. Let's not forget that his primary function. Lee, I don't like pre-assists. You're right. But that's probably more his primary function traditionally as a left and right back, is that pre-assist, feed it into a number 10, the 10 spins off, gives it to the centre forward, it's a goal. So yeah, I'm still not going to track him, but I'm getting
flashbacks, Martin, to Talking Town of yesterday. Someone once said on this show, a left back is never going to get you promoted.
Yeah, but he did.
On a postcard and said that.
They wouldn't do when that left back's called Miles Kenlock, but
yeah, very good point. You did say that. Point,
stand by the point. We greatly upgraded the ability in that position. It's a bit like when we had Elliot Hewitt at right back. I would have said the exact same thing about a right back never gets you promoted.
We're getting into real areas of mediocrity here, aren't we?
It's up here, son. Don't worry. I never forget a year. Just my own birthday.
Yeah, the balance of the team is different now, isn't it?
Yeah, totally.
So we were really right side dominated 2 seasons ago. Although so the way we played, if you got someone like Marcus Harness or whoever coming inside, and then Leif Davis going on the outside for those assists, those crosses in the box, the Sarmiento, the goals that he did score, those late, the late winner, I can't remember who that was against. And, if you think Ipswich are going to wither and die, think again, that one he scored, all that sort of stuff. The dynamic of the team was different then. And of course, you've got to have the threat both sides. But what it tells me is that if he got 15 assists, whatever it was, 2 seasons ago, he doesn't become a bad player. That threat is still there. And when you're the opposition manager and you're lining up on a Saturday, you're thinking to yourself, you're telling your players, you know, tactically, you've got to watch what he's doing here, because if you give him the space, he's going to give you those assists, or he's going to score those goals. So if he's in the right places doing the right things, I just think more this year, because Philogene he's making the goals himself, he's coming on the inside, Leif Davis doesn't have to produce the actual ball across to give the assist. And that's where assists can be a little bit misleading. I think his runs off the ball gives Philogene the option to cut inside and gives him the opportunity to score those goals. I think if you look back at some of the goals, there must be at least 2 or 3 that I can remember where he's run past Philogene and he's cut inside and buried the ball. So, yeah.
Craig gives you the answer, by the way, because I was racking my brain when you said it and I couldn't think of who it was. But Craig says Bristol City was the team, Sarmiento. I'm amazed Sarmiento scored more than that Southampton goal. If I remember Sarmiento, the only goal I ever remember him scoring was against Southampton. I didn't even know he played. He scored a goal before that. That's
the way he got the equaliser.
He nearly missed that though, didn't he? I mean, how the goalkeeper let that in, I don't know.
But it's just one of those moments of a play, you know, when you've got that goal so ingrained in your mind. The moment you think of the name Sarmiento, the only goal you can play in your mind is the Southampton one. And I'm like, I can't move off it. And I'm struggling. Yeah. Bristol City, says Craig.
Yeah, it's a conversation there, because I was driving this morning. They had Sean Custerson, friend of the show, Henry Winter, on TalkSport, discussing the lack of good left back options for England when they go to the World Cup. It got me thinking, you know, and obviously Leif isn't in that mix anymore, sadly. But it got me thinking what might have been had, you know, we've been better in the Premier League and he'd been able to step up and accelerate and move on from that assist record that he'd got. But sadly, he couldn't do it. Maybe next time. We'll see.
Maybe next time. That's it. All right. We're back live again tomorrow, 8 p.m. Thank you for being with us this evening. Hit the like button and subscribe for your town news, views, fan opinion, and more. But until then, we've had Matthew Phillips, we've had Lee Anderson, and we've had you. Amazing audience, whether live or on catch up. So we'll see you tomorrow, 8 p.m. But until then, take care. God bless. Say goodbye, boys.
See you all. Take care.
You've reached the end. Thank you so much for watching. Hit here to subscribe. It's totally free. And hit here for more Talking Town videos. I'll see you on the next one.